Good day! It is my pleasure to share with you my learnings and my personal reflection about the relationship between faith and reason according to some great thinkers of medieval period. During the course of our discussion in medieval philosophy, I learned that one of the most interesting subjects that preoccupied the medieval period was the great emphasis on the nature of God. There was a relentless effort to prove the existence of God through the spectacle of philosophy. The great thinkers during this period developed their philosophical argument to prove their claims about the nature and existence of God, hence focusing on their stand between faith and reason. So allow me to give you my insights regarding these thinkers. First is Saint Justin Martyr. He is a convert to Christianity and believed that the Christian faith provides and answers the questions given and sought by philosophy, but only when one submits to faith in Christ. He also believed that the human soul cannot understand and reach wisdom except only if it was revealed by God. Justin Martyr's account of the Christian faith as a true philosophy shows how faith becomes a starting point, from which we interpret and make use of data for reason. However, he does not confine Christianity as a philosophy, among others, understood by those who preceded the Christian faith. But more than that, the relationship moves from contingent encounter to choice, which is present even in our lives. Second is Dionysius the Areopagite, who bridged the two ways of God speak in the history of philosophy. These are the cataphatic way, which affirms what God is characterized with the use of concepts and metaphors, and apophatic way, which negates these affirmations, saying what God is not. In his mystical theology, Pseudo-Dionysius describes how the soul's destiny is to be fully united with the ineffable and absolutely transcendent God. In other words, God's reality transcends what can be perceived, known, and understood. Third is Saint Augustine of Hippo. His life with his famous adage, "My heart is restless until it rests in you," is a living testimony on how he searched for God and how God changed him until his conversion. In the search for meaning, Augustine was able to articulate the Christian faith as a personal search for one's own ultimate meaning in God. Faith is not only disposition that enables one to find the answers that reason looks for, but also a means through which one understands the reality of all that exists. Saint Augustine made the first synthesis of philosophy and theology, simply puts the truth into the philosophical atmosphere, showing that reason could finally find its way out of the darkness and be opened to the absolute. It happens that in the depths of human soul is a meeting of creatures and creators. It demonstrates that reason can attain supreme good and ultimate truth in the person of the Word made flesh. Fourth is Saint Anselm of Canterbury. His ontological argument says, God is that than which nothing greater can be taught. This argument suggests that there is nothing that simply in the mind that can be considered to be greater than something that exists in reality. Hence, the greatest thing that the mind can conceive must exist in reality. Thus, God exists. Saint Anselm's view of understanding of faith, intellectus fidei, is one of the intellect's seeking that which is love. The more it loves, the more it desires to know. He wrote, "To see you was I conceived, and I have yet to conceive that for which I was conceived." Given reason's capacity to exceed whatever it attains, it is not defeated by the inability to understand the object of love. The harmony of faith and reason is again confirmed. Faith seeks its object be understood with the help of reason, and at the summit of its searching, reason acknowledges that it cannot do without what faith presents. And lastly, Saint Thomas Aquinas, who took another argument that explains that everything that exists has a cause. Since there could be no an infinite chain causes, there must have been an uncaused first cause. The uncaused cause is God. That is why Saint Thomas Aquinas attributed the understanding of God through divine revelation. Thus, faith has no reason, but seeks it out and has trust in it. Just as grace builds nature and brings it to perfection, so faith builds upon and perfects reason. These great thinkers are benchmark of medieval philosophy that exists for almost 900 years. Though the beginning and the end of medieval period remains undetermined. The ultimate concern of medieval philosophy is the discovery of Christian faith with philosophical reason. With this development in philosophy, it sets a new tone that attributes to God and the rise of Christian faith. This is to say that the pursuit of Christian perfection becomes the focal point of medieval great thinkers. If there is any period in the history of philosophy that resonates faith and reason, it is the Middle Ages. The Christian theologians were swamped with rich materials from a rationalist intellectual tradition far different from their own. Most medieval theologians adhere to the Augustinian understanding of the relation between faith and reason, neatly summarized in Anselm's formulation, "Fides quaerens intellectum," an adage that assimilates philosophical doctrines into the theological framework of the Christian West. It is also good to note that the very implication of medieval philosophy lies upon the divine revelation, which is neither the product nor end of human reason, but a gratuitous expression of love that anticipates the ultimate truth. Thus, reason can reach its goal when its search is set within the horizon of faith. The reason and faith must work in best complementarities to profoundly achieve the ultimate goal, which is centered on God. Accordingly, faith becomes liberates reason within our search for the ultimate truth, the primordial ingredient, who is God. Saint Justin Martyr, Dionysius the Areopagite, Saint Augustine, Saint Anselm of Canterbury, and Saint Thomas Aquinas are just among the great thinkers who offers critically credible philosophical and theological presentation of Christianity in the very heart of faith and reason that shaped the medieval period. Again, divine revelation impels reason to unleash the clouds of confusion in seeking the truth. As Saint Anselm recognizes the ultimate truth, that is, God is not only that than which nothing greater can be conceived, but also that which is greater than all than can be conceived. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening to my synthesis about the relationship between faith and reason according to some great thinkers of medieval period. Thank you and God bless everyone.